did you by any chance get an opportunity to send over the wire the payment? I said, huh? Hey everyone, I am Pearlynsia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss the surprise closing day that I mentioned in one of my previous videos. Oh my goodness. And I say surprise because it was just that a surprise to us, at least. So to give you backstory, we found this land. We took a few weeks to decide if we were going to purchase it. And long story short, it ended up being in our price point, and we decided to make an offer. The offer was accepted, and then we put in a request to close, I think 2 weeks after our option period had ended. And so it was going to make it a 30-day process in total. And they agreed, everyone was okay with it. And then we did not do some of the due diligence that we were hoping to do, like some of the inspections that we were hoping to do, due to it just not being enough time. And so we said we were good to go. Let's move forward. And our realtor suggested, hey, well, since you all are finished with everything, let's go ahead and, tell me a time next week where we can go ahead and close. And we said, okay, we'll close on the Thursday or Friday of next week. And realtor was like, okay, perfectly fine. I'll let them know. She confirmed with us that we'd be closing on a Thursday, right? On a Thursday. Now we have purchased many properties, so closing to us is not anything I would say we're necessarily new to. We knew that it was going to be a close that was going to be very far because this is country land. So we're like, okay, we're going to get up, we're going to get the baby together. We'll, we know it's going to be an early morning. The realtor says, hey, don't worry about going to the location, to the title company to close, because I'm going to send a mobile notary to you all's house. You have the baby, don't have to worry about anything. Just easy peasy, open the door, sign, and you're done. We're like, okay, sure, no problem. Make sure you have your IDs, which we always do, that type of thing. The same typical closing. And if you don't know what a title company is, a title company is the company who looks through all of the records and ensures that the home is owned by who is actually selling the home. And so usually you go into with a title company, they give you like a title policy, like a guarantee of like, hey, we've done our due diligence to be sure that this person or company who is selling the home, they received it rightfully. It is theirs rightfully, and they can rightfully sell it to you. So no one can come back and say, hey, I'm a long lost cousin from around the way. You don't have to worry about that, right? And so just a little tidbit if you don't know what a title company is. You're new to purchasing a home. We've done it several times, so that's why I'm just sharing that information for anyone who just needs a little bit more clarity on the process. So you go to the title company, both parties come to the title company, they sign. You do not have to sign together. The seller can sign at 10 and you can sign at 10:30. You are usually not in the same room together. I have not experienced that. So by the time it was close for that week for us to sign, it may have been like a Sunday or something like that. I was saying, hey, can you confirm when the mobile notary is going to come so I can get everything aligned on our calendar? I'm a calendar girl, personal productivity. As I stated in my previous video, if you do not know, I am a project manager by trade. So I do that in my day-to-day life, and I do it in my work life as well too. So for me, I'm just like, hey, I want to make sure our calendars are good for the week. Make sure my husband's calendar looks good as well, for the clients and everything like that, to make sure there's no, like conflicts, right? And so she's like, yeah, you're confirmed for 10 a.m. on Thursday. I'm like, okay, great. Tuesday comes, and before I'm about to walk out of the door, I receive an email that says, hey, Pearlynsia, can you all sign these documents? And it was a lot of documents. Now, the first thing I do is I check the email. No lie, I check the email to see if our realtor's on it. Like I noticed, our realtor's not on this. Let me forward this to her. I text our realtor and said, hey, I see that you were left off this email. They're asking us to sign some papers prior to closing. I also see that there's a short line item. It was just like the email said, "Hey, Pearlynsia, here are some documents for you to sign and the wiring instructions." So in my mind, I said, "Oh, okay, they're ahead of the game. They're making sure that we know for by Thursday to, wire the money and all this stuff, right?" Didn't think much of it. Like I said, I sent an email to my text my realtor just to let her know that we had received these documents. Is this normal? She had been left off of the email, and to confirm that we'd be wiring the information on that Thursday. My realtor calls me, ring, ring. Hey, yeah, I don't know why they left me off the email, but I do see that, I just had a phone conversation with them. You're going to go ahead and just sign the papers. I finally finished all the paperwork. It literally took me 45 minutes minimum. It may have been even up to an hour and a half, but it took me 45 minutes to fill out all this paperwork and just make sure we cross our T's and we dotted our I's. And I send back the documentation. Like I signed the documents, my husband signs the documents. So it took him 20 minutes. So you know what? Matter of fact, it took me an hour and a half. Now that I think about it, because it took me 45 minutes to, consult with the realtor, sign where I need to sign. And then I take the documents to my husband and have him sign, which was probably like 20 minutes for him to sign, because of course he's going to read everything as well too. Like he's going to do his due diligence to make sure I didn't miss anything as well. I sent off the paperwork, respond via email, which I thought was kind of peculiar because I was like, we have a portal where like all the documentation was supposed to be. That was another thing. I want y'all to understand that things were not equaling up to how they were supposed to be, like aligning. Like if they told us the process was going to be A, we were on process D, which we had no idea about. And I thought this was a different formality due to land. I didn't think much of what they was asking for. It wasn't quite the same documents as if you were buying land. I mean, I'm sorry, not buying land. If you were obtaining a loan. Since we were paying cash, these documents were very different than what when we have purchased properties and had mortgages on the property. So when I was signing them, I said, "Oh, okay, this just must be because we're buying land." And our realtor confirmed that as well. Like, "Oh yeah, when you're buying land, it's a little bit different, but da, da, da." So we're signing, right? And I go on about my day. After collectively about an hour and a half of me doing all this stuff, I make my way out to the play date for my son. We're laughing, having a good time, me and the mom, you know what I'm saying, kikiing it up. The kids are playing, all this good stuff. I leave out of the door, get him in the car. And I think this was God, y'all. You guys can't tell me anything. If you don't believe in God, click off this channel. Or if you're curious about God, you can stay here, okay? If you want to, but I'm telling you right now, I believe that this was God. So I get outside and I notice at the mom's home, at the playdate's mom's home, I noticed that my tires were a little flat, like looking like they were kind of flat. So here I go. My vehicle has a compressor, an air compressor in the back. So I always have the option to be able to fill up my tires or fill up any car tires or bike tires, anything like that. Anything I would need air for, I have an air compressor in the back of my vehicle. So I go in and I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and just, fill up these tires. Try not knowing a lick of what I'm doing. I was like, I should have had my husband do this. But here we are, girl, because I'm self-sufficient. Before I met him, I can get things done. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go out like that. So I'm filling up these tires, something terrible. Something terrible. And I say something terrible because 1 minute one tire was the same level. The next minute it was flip-flopping. And I was like, ugh. So after some time, I said, all right, I'm just about to be done with it. Let me hit the road. I had already had my son in the car and all that stuff. And I get a phone call from the title company. And it's, ring, 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 ring. And, they're like, hey, Pearl, how you doing? We're just going to say, hey, Sarah. I'm just throwing a name out there. That's not a name. And she's just like, yeah, I wanted to know if I need you to send me your ID so I can validate, you and your husband are who you are. I said, oh, okay, great, no problem. And did you by any chance get an opportunity to send over the wire the payment? I said, "Hmm?" I said, oh, I did see your statement about wiring instructions, but I assumed that we were going to do that on Thursday when we sign. And she's like, oh no, today is closing. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, since this is land, you're paying cash. We didn't really need, some of the things that you would need, when you have like a loan. And she said, well, oh, I'm so sorry. I guess I should have mentioned that in the email. Yeah, Sarah, you should have mentioned that in the email, but I'm not tripping about a surprise closing. But I think it would have been nice to know that what we were signing was actually for closing. So I'm shocked about that. And I was just like, well, hey, I can definitely get the information. I mean, I can definitely wire that stuff over to you. I called our realtor first and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that I just received a phone call from the title company and they saying that the papers that we signed was closing. And she was like, what? I have never experienced anything like this before. Like, what is this all about? And so I explained to her the jargon that she had given to me. And to be honest with you all, because I was in complete shock, truly in shock, the word for word, verbatim as to what she said, I cannot like repeat it. They said that because the seller was signing on that Tuesday, which was the day that, surprise, we were having this conversation, they thought we may as well just go ahead and have us sign because it was no point in delaying it by a couple of days. Just kind of get it out of the way. My realtor gets a call. The title company's beeping in to give the realtor a call. Everybody's doing phone tag at this point. Like, boom, she's like, let me call you back. That's the title company. I said, okay. So while she's talking to the title company, I then call my husband. And at this point, I pulled out the driveway, y'all. Got in the car. Let me get on the road because at this point, child, we 30, 40 minutes outside. I need to get back to my house so I can cook and, do all the domestic type things, feed this kid, all that good stuff. Right? Man, I called my husband. I said, hey, well, I have some good news. And he's like, oh, okay. Hey, how you doing? What's up? I was like, we're now homeowners of a property. Surprise. And he was like, what? The same tone and thought as me. What? That was like I didn't see him on the phone. I was just calling him because I was driving, y'all. So you gotta be responsible. So he's through the car speaker and he's like, what? And he was like, that's strange. And he was like, did you get all the official documents and stuff? I said, no. I said, I'll talk with, our realtor about that or whatever. He was like, well, make sure you get everything. And at this point I agree too, because at this point you asking me to send over a copious amounts of money, large amount of money. Babe, I need to know what the process is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way back, but I gotta stop and get us something to eat because I don't feel like cooking, all this other kind of stuff. And he's just like, well, before you stop and get something to eat, just pass that up and just come to the house, get the wire done, and then, I'll take care of the baby and you can go back out and grab the food. I said, okay, I did not want to, y'all, because in my mind, I already have a plan. Like I'm already like I'm not on schedule. I'm behind schedule, and this is the things that are like the milestones till I get home. That's how I kind of think about it as a project manager. Like I gotta stop here, here, here till I get to the house. This is the house. So and we were here at this point, driving to get to this point, and then this is the house. So long story short, or short story long. I crack myself up. Short story long. Or long story long, however you want to say it. Yeah, I go ahead and I get straight to the house. I wire the money. My realtor calls me back and she's just like, yeah, I talked to him and we're discussing how this is not the type of organization that we are used to. Everyone is just like, oh yeah, we should have said something. Ha 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 ha. Oh yeah. Oh, we forgot to mention it. Oh, the process is this. You'll get it when you get it type of thing. And I'm like, nah, baby, you ain't gonna get it when it come to my Skrilla. I'm sorry, y'all. I just let me pull it back together. you can't get it how you get it when it comes to my money, okay? Give me my money. Like, I'm handing you large amount of money. I need to know what is the process. I need it in writing. Yeah, I need to have a good understanding. So I send over the confirmations via email. I ask for confirmation, like that they've received it, and what is going to be the process going, from here. Of course, I CC our realtor, and I don't know why I did this because I actually CC'd her. Yeah, wrong expression for the words that I said, but they let us know via email. They also let our realtor know. Our realtor also let us know. So everyone is communicating great at this point. I asked them what would be the process, and then the title assistant responded to that email because it's various people who are on an email. Oftentimes, I don't know what your process would be like, but this is what ours was like, and this one was a little bit more chaotic. I'm gonna just tell you, I'm actually keeping it a little like reeled in because I don't want to get um, lost in judgment, if that makes sense, right? So I'm giving you the story with a little on it, but it wasn't as organized as what we are used to. It was, I think, a little bit more confusion, a lot more phone calls that I'm accustomed to having, and just trying to understand why this and who this and what that. That's the best way for me to put it without being messy. You know what I'm saying? Being too messy. So yeah, the title assistant let me know what the process would be. Is that once they receive, they're going to allocate the funds and they're going to record the deed, which means that they'll send off the official signed warranty deeds to the county. The county will then update the system to say that the grantor has granted us, the grantees, the land, for whatever X amount of Z dollars, whatever your deed says, right? So we do that, and that was pretty much, it. And then once we do that, they would send us the recorded deed, which means that, hey, here's confirmation with the stamps from the county, showing you that it is in their system. This is the date that we submitted it to them. And then they also let us know that we receive a title policy, which is like the guarantee that they have done their due diligence, which we talked about earlier. And we would receive that in like 7 to 10 days. The next day, it kind of continued on, though. I just want to be clear of like, hey, can you send us confirmation? And hey, when are we going to receive our documents? Like those types of things. I try not to get too much in the minutia unless y'all want to know the minutia, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, you can't be upset about receiving what's yours a few days before um, you had anticipated to receive it. So I just have to give a shout out to God for this entire process, as chaotic as it was for that closing. What a beautiful surprise on a Tuesday, to close and, not even know that you were closing and buying on a property. And I just think God is so good. I think he's so amazing. And I just can't thank him enough, honestly, because it just went really different than what I had anticipated. Even the whole purchasing process, I mean, like the picking the land process, everything about that. But yeah, so that is what happened on our surprise closing day. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and say this to y'all. If you guys have had some type of, wild closing, let me know if I'm the only person who has had a wild closing story, or do you have a wild closing story or a surprise closing story? Anything that kind of went on that was super chaotic, let me know down in the comments, because I would love to hear about it, and just see what you all experiences were. And prayerfully, you actually closed on that day. Or even if you didn't close, like let a girl know, some of the things that took place on the day of closing, or did you have a surprise closing that you didn't know about? But until the next time, I'll see you.